Hey guys, if you want to see my review and first impressions on this Smashbox Ablaze Face Palette and this new Smashbox Metallic Liquid Lip in the color Blowtorch, then keep on watching. Alright guys, so let's get started on my review of this gorgeous looking Smashbox Ablaze Face Palette and this Smashbox Always On Metallic Matte Liquid Lipstick in the shade Blowtorch. This kind of gorgeous metallic orange shade. Look at that orange. I've mentioned in the past I'm not really one for metallic shades in general, but this shade just really stood out to me, so you know I had to test it out for you guys. So a couple weeks ago, Smashbox released this Ablaze collection because it's centered around this Smashbox Covershot Ablaze eye palette that's been out for a while, since these were released a couple years ago. And this is their best-selling Covershot eyeshadow palette. This Ablaze palette is just perfection. The mattes, the shimmers, they have a lot of pigmentation, very easy to blend. Get that kind of holographic kind of feature. It's really kind of cute with all the powders, like the eyeshadow powders kind of exploding right there. It's really cute. So I have this all over my eyes. I use just this palette for my eye look, and instead of eyeliner I use the dark brown shade in here, and I just really like it. It's very easy. You can kind of just make any kind of neutral look or a warm tone look, so it's very kind of versatile. And I think the reason why this is so popular, it's not only kind of the gorgeous shades in here and how well these powders are made, but also because compared to some of the other Covershot eyeshadow palettes, those other palettes, some of them aren't that great. It really depends on the particular palette. So it really does depend on the particular palette in this Covershot range, unfortunately. I really hope in the future, Sorry, that was my dog barking at something. So I really hope in the future that a Smashbox can kind of make their Covershot eyeshadow palettes more uniform in how they perform, because they're a little bit all over the place. Some are good quality, some are kind of so-so, and some are bad. So it just really depends on the particular palette. But this palette is just amazeballs. It's really, really awesome. So yeah, it's all over my eyes. Love it. Perfect for summer, perfect for fall. And you can also make neutral looks kind of all year round as well. So I did this beforehand just because this has been out, you know, forever. So it's kind of, they kind of promoted it with this, but I really wanted to focus on this Smashbox face palette. So you see it has the name of the two blushes, the two bronzers, the two highlights, and let me show you what they look like. Look at these colors. The deeper bronzer, it looks a bit too deep, but we'll see. Maybe if I go in with a light hand, because I want to use all shades to show you what all the shades look like on my skin tone. And I'm really excited to test out these highlights as well. I'm not sure if this is too deep, but if I go in with a less dense brush, I'm hoping it'll work for me. But yeah, we'll try out all these shades together. I'm really hoping that these highlights perform well too, because one of my all-time favorite highlight palettes is by Smashbox. It's their Smashbox Spotlight palette, the lighter one, and this was made in conjunction with Casey Holmes. There's 3 shadows, and I'm in love with there's 3 shadows. There's 3 powders in that highlighter palette. And let me just show you really quickly. This is what the Spotlight palette in Pearl looks like. This is the lighter one. There's one with more gold, deeper toned highlights, and this is the lighter version with more pinky toned highlights. This highlight here, I don't like. It is very, very glittery and just too much. It's like a glitter bomb on your cheeks. I don't like this shade at all. But these 2 shades right here are just kind of amazing highlights shades. These are just some of my favorite highlights to wear ever. Alright, so let's get cracking. Let's test out these bronzers. Try and use this lighter bronzer It looks neutral enough and light enough for me to use as a contour. So let me try to use this as a contour so you can kind of see the color on my cheek. And I'll try going in with a less dense brush and using the deeper bronzer as a bronzer. Might look better on medium deep skin tones, but we'll see. So first off, I just lightly tapped this brush into the powder. A lot of powder just went onto my brush just with one tap. And you can see there's some kick up right there. I'm going to tap the excess off and try to use this lighter bronzer as a contour. So you can see there is still warmth in there. So in my normal day-to-day life, I would not use this as a contour, but if I can blend this out. So it's not horrible, but there is still warmth in there because it's supposed to be used as a bronzer. All right, let's do the other side. All right, so that's how the bronzer looks as a contour. Slightly too warm, but it's still kind of okay once I blend it, I think, into the deeper bronzer and into my blush, I hope. Fingers crossed. So now let's try this deeper bronzer shade as a straight up bronzer. I think this will be way too dark for me, but let's just go in with a light hand. And I'll also use this kind of contour brush to apply this bronzer. I'm still gonna apply it as a bronzer, but slightly in the back part as a contour as well. Just slightly back here just to kind of accentuate my cheekbones a little bit more. Okay, one tap into the deeper bronzer. There was no kick up, so it was just in the lighter shade so far. Tap off the excess. Okay, so this one is a little bit more orange in this bronzer. Yeah, this would be a perfect kind of bronzer for, I think, medium deep skin. But just for this video, since we're testing out this entire palette, every shade in this palette, we're gonna use it too on my skin tone as well. So as you can see with the deeper bronzer, there's a lot of orange tones in there. The lighter bronzer has a lot of peach in there. You can't really tell that much from the lighter bronzer, but in person with the deeper bronzer, you can definitely see the orangey tones in there. In general, bronzers with super orange kind of undertones aren't my favorite, even though bronzers are meant to warm up the skin. But I will use them, especially if I'm going to go for a super kind of bronzy summer sort of look, J-Lo sort of look, then I'll use them, but I have to go in with a light hand, especially with my skin tone. I think with medium or deep skin tones, super warm bronzers are more flattering, but I can still make it work if I kind of blend it all out, and it depends on the eye look and how I use the particular warm bronzers. Yes, I want bronzers with some warmth, just not a lot of orange in there. But it's not bad. But will I reach for these two as bronzers? Will they be my favorite bronzers? I can already tell they won't be. Especially this deep one, I don't think I'll ever use on my face, but I can use it as an eyeshadow shade. The lighter one I would use as a bronzer, but just to go in with a light hand and with very kind of summery, bronzy, warm tone looks like the one I'm wearing right now. Alright, now let's test out some of these blushes. We're going to try both. So first, let's go in with this kind of a matte looking coral peachy blush. And let's just use this towards the back part of my cheekbone into my hairline. And I'll do the same thing with the other side. So I tapped into the powder twice. There it is. Let's see how pigmented this is. So this is just towards the back. Wow, there's a lot of pigment. I could have tapped in once. I just didn't see a lot of color, but there is a lot of powder on here. Wow, that is a gorgeous coral blush. I don't think I own any kind of coral peachy blushes that look quite like this one. Wow, this is a super pigmented, super pretty coral peachy blush. I think this color, because of how pigmented it is and how vibrant it is, would suit every skin tone from fair skin to deep skin tone. Just if you have fair or light skin tone, you have to go in with a light hand. One tap is enough. I went in with 2 taps, but I tried to blend it out. as best as I could, but it's just super flattering, very summery, summer appropriate, the perfect kind of beachy look if you're at some sort of like tropical resort. Just when you think of the word ablaze, this blush is kind of the perfect representation of the word ablaze. It kind of epitomizes ablaze. All right, now let's try this lighter kind of shimmery peachy tone blush, and we'll focus this towards the center of the face and blend it into the more vibrant matte blush. So let's just do one tap. Oh wow, this is gorgeous. This really reminds me of the Deep Throat shade from NARS. It's just kind of a peachier version and less glittery version of the Orgasm shade from NARS. It is very flattering. If you love peachy blushes, this blush will be one of your favorites. Wow, I love both blushes, but I think blended together, they actually look very, very, very flattering. Very nice. They just give you this kind of a sun-kissed kind of summery vibe. It's really, really nice. Okay, so here are the two highlights. This one looks like it might be borderline too dark for me. It kind of looks like it would be perfect for more medium skin tones or deep skin tones, but let's test this out. So I'm using a fan brush. I'm hoping that this will apply it kind of in a more sheer manner. Okay, let's see. It is pretty. Yeah, if I use this brush and kind of blend it into my blush color, it is still definitely a highlight. If I didn't blend this into my blush, it would be a shade too deep as a highlight. So if I use a less dense brush like this and blend it kind of lower into my highlight, into my blush, I can pull it off. So there, you guys, you can see it's still really pretty. It doesn't look like a shadow. Place this lighter highlight shade on top of it and also kind of back into my hairline right here. Oh wow, that highlight is blinding. Look at that, guys. Highlight is blinding, and it has a distinct peachiness to it. More peachy actually than Champagne Pop or that Laura Geller highlight. I can see that once it's on my skin now. I also think this one is kind of like the last highlight in that I think also you should use a less dense brush. Even though it is lighter than the other one, it is still gonna be borderline too deep for people around my skin tone. It could be a borderline too dark, but it's still, there's no shadow, but you really have to blend it into your skin and blend it into your blush as well, even though it is lighter than the last shade. The last shade had more of a champagne tone, which blended a little easier. This has very distinct peach tones, so you really have to blend this shade. Yeah, I think these highlights would be perfect for medium and deep skin, honestly. You can't really tell looking in the actual palette, but when it's on the skin, I can barely pull both of these shades off, but if you're medium or deep, I think these highlights would look gorgeous on you. Pale skin, like super fair skin, I think both of these highlights will be a little bit too deep for you. So last up, let's try this kind of metallic orangey blowtorch shade, and we'll see how it looks. Wow. So here's the shade. It is very flattering for a metallic liquid lip. Like I said, metallic lips aren't my favorite, but this sort of deeper orangey, rust orange metallic shade is perfect for, you know, August, September, October, like late summer, fall. It's just really nice. very wearable. But for me, when I wear metallic lips, because I have so many lines in my lips, I always put a gloss over my metallic lips just to kind of make my lips look a lot more kind of moisturized. So for the rest of the day today, I'll put on a gloss. But if your lips don't have many lines, and then you can just wear this alone. But I still love the shade, love the amount of pigment in here. But just like with any metallic lip, I will put a gloss on top. This is really nice. So both of these items are wins in my opinion. I think this palette is kind of best for light and medium skin tones. So for fair skin, I think the highlights are going to be slightly too deep. And for deep skin, I think the bronzers might be a hint too light. But yeah, and then for my skin tone, I'm kind of between fair and light. I can barely pull off the highlights, but I still really like them. So I'm still going to get used out of them. They still look very flattering, very reflective. But I really have to blend these two shades into my blush because they're a hint deep. Both blushes I can wear very easily. They're very pigmented, really nice. I'm only going to wear this kind of lighter, warm, really warm bronzer for my super warm tone looks, but it is very nice. And the deeper one I'll use on my eyes as an eyeshadow shade. And this metallic liquid lipstick, very unique rust orange. I'll just put a gloss over top of this, maybe a light peachy or clear gloss. So yeah guys, hope this review was helpful. Hope everything is going really well with you guys in your lives. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.